history awaits one of the 3 title contenders. One still needs a miracle to stay in the fight. 2 are in the middle of a battle with a dream at stake. Welcome everyone to the 19th round of the Formula One World Championship, the United States Grand Prix. The American Tour begins with 4 races here, including the Drivers' Championship battle, led by the man in orange, but with the threat of Max Verstappen, who has revived Greece, the turnaround that Red Bull has achieved with their car. Although he's 63 points behind the leader, he can't be ruled out yet. And this American Tour begins at the Austin circuit in Texas, the official United States Grand Prix since 2012. For the Bulls, it's another crucial round for their hopes. After everything between the McLaren drivers in Singapore, this could be when they both start fighting hard for their dream. This show ends in 6 races, and only the one who shows the most hunger for victory from now until the end will be the one to take the glory when the curtain falls on the season. Let's begin the preview of the 2025 United States Grand Prix of Formula One. The end of the 2025 season is approaching. With only 6 Grands Prix left this year, the Drivers' Championship will be decided. Still open and fiercely contested by the McLaren drivers, waiting to see if Verstappen can sneak in and snatch the dreams of glory from his rivals. There will be just 6 races, but for the 3 contenders, it could feel like a long wait until night falls in Abu Dhabi. These 6 races start at a familiar time on the calendar, the one that kicks off the American Tour on a track that takes concepts from the best circuits in the world. So ladies and gentlemen, let's start this preview by first getting to know the venue that will host round 19 of the Formula One World Championship. Austin, Texas is home to the Circuit of the Americas, a permanent track on the Formula One World Championship calendar. Since the 2012 season, it has been the venue for the United States Grand Prix. 5 kilometers of track, 56 laps, 20 corners, 2 drag reduction system zones, and 2 overtaking areas. Characterized by being a fast-paced, technical, and extremely challenging circuit. From the first sector, you can tell that Circuit of the Americas is an unusual challenge on the calendar. It has a long straight and 6 turns, making it fast and technical. The journey starts on the main straight, a drag reduction system activation zone, marking the device's first use on this track. It extends to the uphill braking zone at turn 1 and activates just after exiting the last corner. That's why it usually provides overtaking opportunities. Turn 1 is uphill with a sharp corner, requiring stable braking and clean exit traction. And from there comes probably the best part of the track, the fast corners that decorate this first sector, known as the false maggots and beckets. Very high-speed linked corners that test a car's aerodynamic grip and require perfect lines. These spectacular turns challenge both drivers and their single-seaters. And when executed well, those corners allow drivers to gain time, especially during qualifying. The second sector is very similar to the first, but it's more about speed than technique. It begins with 3 slow turns, 7, 8, and 9, where exit traction will be tested. After that, it declines until the slow turn 12. Next, you reach the circuit's longest straight and the track's second drag reduction system activation zone. Activation occurs a few meters after turn 11 and continues to the turn 12 braking zone. It's the longest straight on this track, and together with the powerful drag reduction system, it makes this the most favorable zone for overtaking and battles on this circuit. Next, drivers brake hard into left turn 12, finishing there. A sector that continues to punish the brakes, but whose straights encourage overtaking maneuvers. In a section known for remaining technical, but which significantly increases the speed compared to what we saw in the first part of this circuit. The third sector is the track's most technical area. It has 8 turns and no long straights, so essentially it's the most complex sector of the circuit. The first part of it is characterized by slow corners. Corners that punish traction because they are so tight that they require a quick and clean exit. But right after these turns is a corner like turn 8 in Turkey, only reversed. A 4-apex right-hand corner with elevation changes which, besides being spectacular turns, are very fast and very demanding on the car. The car's aerodynamic support here is key, and above all, the car's stability when going through these corners. Next, the cars enter turn 19, a fast left-hander where the limit is pushed on exit. So misjudging it can make the cars go off track and have their laps completely invalidated. It's an extremely tight section with a variety of corners that are definitely not easy to get through. The Circuit of the Americas tests every part of the car: straight line speed, fast and slow corners, and traction. It was designed using concepts from the world's best circuits, which is what makes it complex. That makes it an extremely interesting challenge in practically every aspect you look at. In summary, in the first sector, the car's grip in fast corners is most important. In the second, brakes and speed on the straights, and in the third, traction and precision in the corners. This track has more speed. As other facts to keep in mind, this circuit has wide runoff areas and safety cars are not something that usually appear at the Circuit of the Americas. Since 2012, the race has only been neutralized by a safety car 7 times. But this has only happened in 5 Grands Prix out of the 12 that have been held at Circuit of the Americas. As I told you, due to the long runoff areas, many of which are asphalt, the circuit is not punishing for mistakes, and therefore it has an extremely low probability of a safety car. Only an 18% chance of a safety car appearing, so it's not common for it to show up during a race.
To neutralize it.
On this circuit, traction and braking are crucial for setups. They endure a lot on the track because numerous slow corners demand hard braking and quick acceleration. Cars typically use medium to high downforce setups for the slow corners mentioned earlier. Also, there are several medium and high speed corners in the first and third sectors. That's why Circuit of the Americas is a high downforce track. And it has the particularity that its 2 drag reduction system zones are key points for any overtaking maneuver. The first zone, the main straight, is probably the most difficult for making moves due to its distance. With better tire condition and a better exit from turn 20, overtaking is possible, but usually only in the braking zone. Whether you take the inside or try to go around the outside by putting the car on the inside, it's not an easy area, and many times it's more useful for keeping the cars close together than for actually trying to attack. However, the straight between turns 11 and 12 is a much better option and the best area to overtake on that track. Due to its length, it's possible to finish the maneuvers even before reaching the braking zone, but if not, the driver has the option to try to brake later. And preferably, try to take the inside when attempting the overtake, because on the outside, side by side, it's practically impossible to overtake without the risk of being pushed off the track, since the next turn is an extremely tight 90-degree corner. Even in the best overtaking area, passing isn't easy. A driver can get stuck behind a car that's much faster, so you have to be very smart to pull off moves in this part of the track. So, overtaking on this circuit rates 3.5 out of 5. Very difficult. It's not easy to pull off overtaking moves, and it almost always requires a condition that favors the attacking driver, like better tire wear management, for example. Cars in the Circuit of the Americas pit lane travel at 80 km/h, making it a fast transit zone. Its entrance cuts through the final corner and its exit is level with the track, so it doesn't require a sudden swerve to cross, enter, or exit. And a pit stop with a tire change can be completed in about 22 seconds. And the level of tire degradation on this track is quite high. The track has moderate abrasion but also faces lateral loads. The rubber and the stress are extremely high, putting a lot of strain on the rear tires and increasing their wear. Therefore, strategies at this circuit are generally set for 2 pit stops, although we'll have to see if, with this season's tire changes, any driver can successfully execute a 1-stop strategy. For this edition, Pirelli will offer a stepped tire range to increase race strategy options, and the available tires will be the C1, C3, and C4 available to the teams. For the United States Grand Prix, in my opinion, Austin has one of the world's most interesting circuits. A mix of the best from multiple worlds, like Silverstone's sections. Turn 8 from Turkey, and Turn 1, which goes uphill then drops sharply, are inspired by Interlagos. Anyway, it's a challenging track like few others on the calendar. Basically, it's like a Texan rodeo. Taming this beast is complex and needs flawless man-machine teamwork. It might seem like just another track on the calendar, but those who are overconfident or don't have the car well prepared for that circuit, well, Coda can give them a real shake-up. Lately, there's been a lot of talk on the internet about password leaks, online fraud, scams, and many situations that could happen to both you and me. Downloading a file from the internet might not seem like a big deal, but that innocent furry image you searched for could open the door to serious risks to your privacy and sensitive information. This could mean your banking info is stolen, or people don't know your interests, like what you're a fan of. And whether it's true or not, we're not here to judge. It's better to minimize risks. And there's a tool that can help you improve your security online, and that's the VPN tool from our friends at Surfshark. Its main feature, as I've told you many times, is the IP changer, which not only works as a key to unlock regionally blocked content, but also significantly increases your security while browsing. With this feature active, your personal information is encrypted and practically no one can see it. So your personal banking data and your particular exotic tastes will be protected and out of reach of very malicious people. And as I told you, it has a double function because besides protecting your browsing, you'll be able to access regionally blocked content, which will be very useful in 2026 if you have Formula One television and live in the United States. To see for yourself, visit surfshark.com Skyline and use code SKYLINE. Sign up for this service and get 4 extra months. And with that, you can try it for up to a month on an unlimited number of devices. And if you don't like the VPN or aren't convinced, you'll have a full money-back guarantee. So I recommend that you don't leave your cybersecurity to chance and try all the benefits that our friends at Surfshark's VPN offer you. McLaren has secured the Constructors' title, but the Drivers' Championship remains uncertain. With Max Verstappen's Red Bull now a threat, this track should reveal if McLaren can reclaim its throne on regular circuits. How much can Red Bull fight in the final rounds this season? So once again, it looks like a key round in Red Bull team's tough aspirations. So with nothing decided yet, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to analyze each team and driver one by one in this new round of the Formula One World Championship. McLaren clinched its 10th Constructors' title in Singapore, easing concerns for the Orange team. Now they face another issue. Their drivers, the favorites, are competing for the drivers' title. But even with the 63-point gap between Verstappen and Oscar Piastri, the Dutchman is a threat they can't underestimate, especially with 6 races left and many points available in this weekend's sprint race. The thing is, McLaren hasn't won in 3 races partly because they stopped updating their car a while ago to focus completely on. They've come up against a Red Bull and a Mercedes that, despite the rule change, are still developing their car. And at least Red Bull seems to have caught up with them with the upgrade package they brought starting from the Italian Grand Prix, which has allowed at least Max Verstappen to beat them in Italy, Azerbaijan and Singapore. But despite the defeat at Marina Bay, their race pace still looked strong. Since Singapore is tough for overtaking, Norris was stuck behind Max Verstappen the entire race, which hurt his chances of beating him, largely because they failed in qualifying since they were never able to get the soft tire working, which both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri struggled with during qualifying. However, the weather conditions expected for this race will be very hostile. A lot of heat and an extremely degrading track, so the race pace should be good and it should give them a new chance to win on Sunday. But if they're beaten again under these ideal conditions for their car, McLaren will have a lot to worry about for the rest of the season. Also, the early events in Singapore and brief contact between Piastri and Norris reignited tensions between the drivers. Andrea Stella, the team principal, says he's not worried, but we'll see if their approach to the rivalry changes. How will the papaya rules change? With the end near, does Verstappen pose a threat? They're already World Constructors champions. We'll see if McLaren shines again under those conditions like before Italy, or if they're defeated again. Is it confirmed they've lost the top car spot on the 2025 grid? Mercedes has not only captured second place in the Constructors' standings, but their car also seems to have returned to the good form it showed at the start of the season. They won at a Grand Prix where, in theory, because of the heat and their weakness with the suspension, things didn't look good at all. This time, the team knows why they were strong at the Singapore track. Ultimately, it's about how Mercedes managed to make the soft tires work. In qualifying, George Ross secured pole position for this Grand Prix. But the new front wing they brought also helped improve the balance. It's a wing that seems to flex in the carbon fiber flaps. But it stays within the legal limits of the regulations introduced in Spain. And many experts and some journalists point out that this new front wing has allowed them to regain the balance they lost when the flexible wings were nerfed. Either way, the car appears to have regained its balance and come back to life. The team's car, 8-time Constructors' World Champion. However, Austin's expected conditions will be very challenging for their car, making this another real test for them. If they perform well again, it will prove Mercedes is dangerous again and their changes were right. It could also give them a chance to win one of the remaining races this season. So keep an eye on Mercedes because the surprise they gave in Singapore was no small thing, not at all. Ferrari is watching their ship sink, now closer to 4th in the Constructors' standings than fighting for 2nd place. We've said that Ferrari has abandoned this car, shifting all budget and resources to the 2026 car. But this bad year has caused the team's internal situation to become a pressure cooker again, and there are already rumors going around that Leclerc wants to leave Ferrari. Vaser's continuity isn't guaranteed, even with the new contract. And a long list of other things that have been rumored in recent weeks. After their disaster at the Singapore Grand Prix, Ferrari isn't expected to compete in Austin. Their car will stay mostly the same through season's end, while Red Bull and Mercedes already have a stronger car for 2025. The 6 remaining World Championship races could be tough if Ferrari can't unlock their car's potential and try to salvage a good result in a season that's becoming very long for a team that was aiming to be champion in 2025. Thank you. Red Bull, they passed the trial by fire they had in Singapore, but they still can't celebrate victory because they know that closing the gap to Piastri and the 63-point lead he still has won't be easy. At this point, the only thing left for the Red Bull team is to see how their car performs under high degradation conditions, because the last 3 races we just had were on tracks with low degradation. During the race, Lando Norris's pace was strong compared to Max Verstappen's, but the Dutchman's defense made the difference. Since Singapore's track makes overtaking tough, they had little trouble keeping second place during the Grand Prix laps. This team is taking a risk by continuing to invest in this car's development, even though next season's rules will change. Red Bull needed to identify their mistakes to get back on track for 2026. That's why they've kept updating this single-seater. We'll see if their gamble works. Given the RB21's improved balance, victory is now possible, as long as they find a way to manage tire wear and beat McLaren at a game they've dominated since the start of the season. And where? If Max wants to keep the dream of a 5th Constructors' Championship alive, he needs to keep beating everyone left, both Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Despite the points gap Williams currently has over their rivals, they can't afford to be complacent at this point in the season. And in Austin, they'll have to face a track where some of the corners can be a real headache for their car, so a very tough challenge is expected for them. Of the tracks left in the championship, according to simulations, Mexico and Las Vegas should be their strongest points. Meanwhile, Brazil, Qatar, Yas Marina and Austin should be their toughest remaining challenges this season. The team will focus on minimizing damage, seizing race opportunities, and enduring the next 6 races to secure 5th place. This amounts to millions and a significant improvement over the 2024 season. The Racing Bulls aim to use their balanced car to lead the midfield again, after a power unit failure in Hyatt's car in Singapore cost him valuable points for the Constructors' Championship. Austin is marked as one of the tracks that could be beneficial for them and could suit their car well. For them, this Grand Prix is a chance to redeem themselves after a tough weekend in Singapore. And the goal is to score more points than Aston Martin and Williams, in a race that could open up plenty of opportunities for them to achieve a great result. Did Aston Martin know that once the low downforce race rounds were over, they would have an easier time scoring points again? And at least Fernando Alonso managed to do it with his 7th place in Singapore. The haul can continue since the car usually has more chances to score points on this type of circuit. They usually race with one leg, but there may still be chances to add to the points total and to go after the 6th place that Racing Bulls currently holds and still have hope of beating Williams in the last races of the season. We'll see how much they can take advantage, but this weekend they'll have more natural opportunities to score points, as long as they know how to make the most of the opportunities that the United States circuit can provide. Sauber has slipped in the fight and now aims for 8th in the constructors' standings. The car hasn't been updated. Unlike their rivals who've updated, they've lost momentum in the race to be the best of the rest. Sauber aims to score points this weekend by capitalizing on a circuit that has suited them well this season. The problem is that even if it suits them, this track is going to be tough with the progress that both Aston Martin and Racing Bulls have made. But personally, I wouldn't rule out the green team completely, even though on paper, scoring points looks quite difficult at first glance. Haas heads into their 2nd home race of the season, just 9 points ahead of Sauber. The goal will be to score points and turn the situation around in the constructors' standings. However, they know the challenge that scoring points in their home Grand Prix will mean, and it won't be an easy task, since this track can be a bit tricky for their car. Even so, the team staff insists they will go all out, even though it will be difficult. But they want those points that will allow them to finish in 8th place in the Constructors' Championship. And about Alpine, honestly, I have nothing more to say. Getting points now is nearly a miracle. Only chaotic races offer them that chance, so normally they shouldn't be point contenders. But we'll see if something can happen. That lets them add points to the tally, something they haven't managed much this season. As for the weather, extremely high temperatures are expected throughout the entire race weekend. Friday through Sunday, temperatures will be above 31 degrees ranging from 30 to 33, and Sunday is expected to be the hottest day of the 3 days of competition. Rain in particular is not expected, with less than a 5% chance of it appearing during any of the sessions.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for very high temperatures
at the United States Grand Prix, with no surprises in the sky for the competition at the Circuit of the Americas. Lastly, do you know any historical facts or trivia about this Grand Prix and circuit to take home this weekend? The race in Austin has officially been called the United States Grand Prix since 2012, keeping the title except for missing the 2020 edition due to the pandemic. The United States is a key market for Formula One, so it has hosted the Grand Prix at several venues over the years. For example, in 1959 the Sebring Circuit hosted the competition, and in 1960 it was held at Riverside. Between 1961 and 1980 it was the Watkins Glen Circuit in New York. The home of the United States Grand Prix from 1989 to 1991 was the Phoenix Street Circuit, which hosted this event. From 2000 to 2007, the beautiful Indianapolis track hosted the United States Grand Prix. Unfortunately, they lost it after that year, largely because of the scandal of the 2005 race. Since 2012, the Circuit of the Americas in Austin has been the official venue for this competition, and it looks like for many more years this track will remain on the calendar with the same name. United States Grand Prix. This country has had several drivers in the category, including Eddie Cheever, Dan Gurney, Scott DeSpeed, and recently Logan Sargent. However, none have won their official home Grand Prix. None of the Americans who have competed in Formula One have managed to be crowned as the winner of the official United States Grand Prix. But there have been American winners on American soil, although in competitions that do not carry the official name of this country's Grand Prix. For example, Mario Andretti, who was the winner of the United States Grand Prix West in 1977 in a race that was held at the Long Beach Circuit, which is to this day the only victory that an American driver has had in his country in an official Formula One race. Similarly, he and Phil Hill are the only Formula One world champions to race under the United States flag. Andretti was champion in 1988 and Phil Hill in 1961 with the Ferrari team. Ferrari, the most successful team in this Grand Prix's history, has 11 victories, from 1975 until as recently as last year. With the victory of Charles Leclerc, the fastest lap recorded in the race is also held by Ferrari and belongs to Charles Leclerc, setting a time of 1:36.69, a record set in 2019. Tied for most wins are Max Verstappen, Jim Clark, and Graham Hill with 3 each. Michael Schumacher is second with 5 victories. The top historical winner of the United States Grand Prix is Lewis Hamilton with 6 victories, from the 2007 season until the 2017 season, being the king of the United States Grand Prix. And the last fact before today's event. But ladies and gentlemen, with this we finish the preview of the 2025 United States Grand Prix of Formula One. But this is where I ask you, do you think McLaren will return to their dominant form in this Grand Prix? Will Verstappen be able to snatch another victory from the men in orange? Will Mercedes be able to sneak in? And of course, let me know your top 3. Who do you think will be the first 3 drivers on the podium at the end of this Sunday's United States Grand Prix? Let me know all your opinions in the comments section. With nothing more to add, I say goodbye by telling you that if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you know when I'm uploading a new video, and share this with your friends. I also invite you to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, links are in the video description. See you this Sunday for the recap at the end of the United States Grand Prix. Thank you for tuning in and see you later.